Hi guys, it's Mr. B here, and today we're going to be looking at mixed numbers, and we're going to look at improper fractions. We're going to look at what they are, and we're also going to look at how we can convert between them. So first thing we need to know, before we know what mixed numbers and improper fractions is we have to understand what a fraction is. So a fraction is a part of a whole. So if we count this square as the whole, we can see it's been broke into four different sections, four equal size sections. So on here we would have 1/4. So 1/4 of that shape is shaded in, okay, because it's broken into four and there's one of them there. If it was shaded in two, say, or even three, then that would be 3/4, because three of the four sections are shaded. So that's what a fraction is. But in this video, what we're really looking at is mixed numbers and improper fractions. So a fraction is a part of a whole, but sometimes you will have more than a whole, but still not quite a whole number. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I've got two squares here, so I've got a whole one there, but then I've got a bit more, but it's not a whole. So there are two different ways I can express these as a mixed number. Now, as a mixed number, we use whole numbers and a fraction to express what we mean. So here, if we look, we've got one whole square shaded in, so we would have 1, and that's our whole number. And then when we want this square, we only have 1, 4 quarter shaded in. So it will be 1 1/4. So this is a mixed number when we have a whole number and a fraction. And that helps us when we have more than a whole, but we still don't have a full whole with our last one. But there is also another way to do it, okay? What we call an improper fraction. Now, with an improper fraction, we don't use our whole number, we just write how many of that actual fraction we have. So as we can see, these shapes are all broken into quarters, into four equal parts. So with this one, we would have quarters because we know to break the parts, and we just count how many quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would have 5/4. It is easy to see an improper fraction because it will always have a bigger number for the numerator, the top number, than the denominator, the bottom number. So an improper fraction will always have a bigger number on the top and a small number on the bottom. A mixed number will have a whole number and a normal fraction. And that is two ways of expressing the same fraction. Now that's okay. I'm going to have a look at a couple more examples to see exactly what they are. Let's now look at a few more examples so we know exactly what mixed numbers and improper fractions are before we move on to converting them. So again, we've got shapes here, we've got three circles, okay? So first we're going to do mixed number on this side. So we've got three circles. There are two complete ones that are shaded in, and then there's one section of 1, 2, 3 on that one. Have a quick think, what do you think that answer would be? Okay, so we got two whole ones, so our whole number will be 2, and then we have 1 out of 3, so we have a third. So a mixed number will be 2 1/3. Okay, if we know that as an improper fraction, we can see they're all broken into thirds, so we know we're going to have thirds on the bottom. What number do you think will be the numerator, the number on the top? Again, with that one, you would just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our improper fraction will be 7/3. Okay, now we've got a square here. I'll just go through this one straight away because it's quite hard to see. Broken into 8 equal parts. Okay, so we can see we've got two squares. There is one completely shaded one in. So that's a 1. We've got a whole one there. Okay, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6, 7, 8. So we have 1 5/8. If we're going to do it, we know we're going to have the same denominator on the bottom. That's the good thing, especially for when we're converting them, is they will always have the same denominator on the fractions because they're still always broken into 8. But this time we just have to count them. So we know there's going to be 8 there, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have 13 eighths. Again, look, numerator is bigger than denominators. Last one. Have a quick go of that one. What do you think the mixed number would be? So we have 4 triangles. 3 of them are completely whole. So our whole number would be 3. Our last one, we can see it's cut into two, so it's in halves, and there is one shaded. There's one half shaded, so we have 3.5 triangles. So you can work that out as an improper fraction. Again, from before, we know we will have 2 on the bottom, and we just have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there you go. That's what mixed numbers and improper fractions are. Next, we're going to have a look at how to turn an improper fraction into a mixed number. Right, so now we're going to look at how to turn these mixed numbers, convert them into improper fractions in case you get asked a question on that. So we have 1.5 at the top here, but we need to turn that into a fraction where our numerator is bigger than a denominator, so it is an improper fraction. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find out how many halves are in 1 and then add on our extra half that's here. Okay, so the way we do that is we will times this number by that number, because we know there are going to be 2 halves in every whole one. So we would have 2 times 1, which is 1, and then we would add on our extra one we have there. Oh, sorry, getting simple maths mixed up there. That's why you should always check your answers. So we've got 3. And as we said before, our denominator is going to be the same. So 1.5 is the same as 3 halves, because there are 2 halves in 1 and then an extra half there. Okay, so let's use the same working out for this one. We've got 2 1/3. So we know we need to times these two together to find out how many thirds are in 2. So we do 3 times 2 and we will get 6. And then we need to add our extra one on here to find out how many we've got, which is 7. So that will equal 7 thirds. Our denominator staying the same. So these are our improper fractions that are equivalent, equal mean the same. Okay, let's do the same one with this one. We've got a 4 and a 1. So we'd have to do 4 times 1. So then we know that there are 4 quarters in one. Obviously, you don't always have to do this, because that would be some maths I would expect a lot of you to know straight away. Now we need to add our 3 on to get 7. So this time we have 7 quarters. Again, denominator is the same. So 1 3/4 is the same as 7 quarters. And then lastly, we have 3 5/10. So we do the same. Times that over. 3 times 10 is 30. Now we need to add on our extra 5. Oh, sorry, I have to make sure that looks like an addition for you. It's 35. So our answer is 35. Denominator stays the same. Tenths. 35 tenths is the same as 3 5/10. Oh, wrong colour. Doesn't matter. Okay, so as you can see there, not the hardest, some quite easy sums. Obviously, if you've got different fractions, you might have to do harder multiplications, but it's quite easy to go from mixed numbers through to improper fractions. Now let's have a look on the reverse and see how we turn improper fractions into mixed numbers. So let's look at the other way around. Let's go from improper fractions and turn them into mixed numbers. You could also get questions in maths on this, okay? So let's start off with 3 halves. Now we're going to turn that into a mixed number. So what we need to find out is how many whole ones we have, then how many we'll have to go over. So we'll know how many whole number we have for a whole number and what our fraction is. So the easiest way to do that is to see how many halves fit into 3. Because every time we have 2 halves, we know we've got a whole. Because we know 2 halves are a whole, 3 thirds are a whole, 4 quarters are a whole, 5 fifths are a whole, and so on. So we need to see how many 2s are in 3 to see how many whole numbers we have, or whole shapes, whatever it is we're looking at in there. So we do 3 divided by 2, okay? Which will be 1, remainder 1. Okay, and how that helps us do our fraction is we can then go, we have 1 whole 1, which is our 1 there, then we have 1 half left over. Again, look, denominators are the same. So 3/2 is the same as 1.5. Okay, so now let's move on to this 5/3 one. Now you can do 5 divided by 3 and find out how remainder we have there. But when we've got smaller ones like this, we don't really have to do the math, okay? I know if I go my 3 times table and I go as high as I can without going over 5, there's 1 3 in 5. I can't fit any more 3's in 5 because 2 3's are 6, which is too many. So I know I've got 1. So there's my whole 1. I know there's 1 3 will fit into 5. Then I can count on from 3, because that's 1 times 3, to see how many I have left over. So we've got 3, 4, 5, we've got 2 left over. So we've got 2 left over, and our denominator will stay the same. So 1 2/3 is the same as 5/3. Let's have a look at this one. We have 9/4. So this one, counting your 4 times table, 4, 8. No, I can't go anymore because that would be far too many. So I can fit 2 4's into 9. And how many are left over? Well, 2 times 4 is 8, so 8, 9. I've got 1 left over, which I'd have 1/4. Our denominator is the same. Again, I'm going to show you again this way with this one. We've got 14/6, and I want to find out that as an improper fraction. So what I'm going to do is 14 divided by 6. That would equal 2, remainder 2. So what I would do that is that 2 will become my whole number, and that 2 will become my denominator. My numerator. Denominator stays the same. So there you can see how once I've done that division, divide the top one by the bottom one, go there and there. If I didn't have any left over, I would have just a whole number. It wouldn't be a mixed number. Okay? I hope that's helped. I know fractions and improper fractions and mixed number, some people can find it quite difficult, so hopefully that's helped you out a lot. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone that you think that might like it. If you've got any questions or need any help with anything to do with maths or with English, and say I do those videos as well, then put down in the comment, put a message on the Twitter, Mr. B Twitter or the Mr. B Facebook page, and hopefully I'll be able to help as many people as I can with those problems. Obviously as well, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I do videos nearly every week, helping you out with different English and maths problems. And hopefully if you subscribe, you'll get them and will improve your maths and improve your English. Till next time, see you later.